Welcome to the Political Power Hour with your host, former congressional candidate, retired federal agent, and three-time author, Michael Vilardi, highlighting today's political hot topics with the most interesting political candidates in the 2022 election. The most hard-hitting political commentary on the air today. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to tonight's show. We have another great show for you tonight. I'm here with Ed Lynch. Ed, welcome to the show. Ed's a political pundit. He's an amazing guy, too, and he's run for Congress twice himself. And we're going to do it a little differently tonight. We're going to give you a call-in number. We're going to take some questions. That way you could test our political expertise here by calling 888-994-4995. That's 888-994-4995. Please call in. We'll see if we can get that across the screen for you. So you can call in any time during the hour. In the meantime, Ed, you and I have a lot to talk about.
A lot going on for sure.
Right?
We're 29 days away from the general election.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're definitely going to take over the House. Republicans are. I say we,
right,
because I'm a Republican. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter to me which side of the aisle we're being screwed from. We're being screwed from one or the other. I mean, it's amazing that the debt goes up no matter who's in charge.
Right.
And politicians never leave office. They stay there. The number one election slogan in the world is re-elect. If you could say re-elect before your name, you're getting elected 94 to 97% of the time. So it's crazy. But that being said, since I am a Republican and what's been going on in the nation just is horrible with inflation through the roof.
Yep.
We got unemployment's going to start kicking in major league. We've got the Fed's going to come out and add another 75 basis points. And in November 1st to 2nd, they have their meeting. Then they're going to do it again in December. I wish they'd just do 3 one-pointers, rip the Band-Aid off, let's move on with life.
Right.
We got immigration problems coming in. We got fentanyl. We got Halloween coming up before the election.
Right.
And the fentanyl pills look like Pez dispenser candies. And so, you bring in enough fentanyl over our southern border. For no other reason, Democrats should want to seal up the southern border, which just goes to show you it's more important to them to win an election than it is to take care of our children. I mean, the number one death in the United States of people, all people, men, women, between the ages of 18 and 39 is due to fentanyl. So overdose from fentanyl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the number one killer for no other reason. Take care of the southern border.
Well,
but they don't do that.
I mean, look at what's happened in New York City. All the migrants in New York City. I mean, there was a shooting right outside of the governor, the governor who's
Lee
running.
Zeldin, yeah.
Lee Zeldin.
Yeah, congressman from New York 1.
Right.
Yeah, on Long
Exactly.
Island.
Out on Long Island.
Yeah, good guy. I met with him.
Yeah, now if he doesn't win that election.
He's not, I mean, it's going to be a tough one for him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a Democrat state. Hopefully crime is the number one issue for most people right now. It's not abortion, which is what they were hoping. Democrats were hoping. That was the only chance they had. The Dobbs decision was the best thing to happen to Democrats this entire cycle. And what are they going to run on? Gas prices going up again, 13 cents a gallon since last week. I mean, and how stupid do we look in the world right now? You got Saudi Arabia just said, hey, by the way, OPEC, here we are. We're going to, you wanted us to increase by 3 million barrels a day? Yeah, we're going to decrease by 2 million barrels a day.
Exactly.
I mean, the lack of respect that we get on the world stage right now is astounding. And we're going to Venezuela now.
Yeah.
Venezuela at one point was the number 2 economy in the entire world. They screwed that pooch up so bad, and now they're so communist over there, and now we're going to them to buy oil from them when we are the most energy-rich nation in the world.
We could be going to Texas. We can be going to Alaska.
The number one, the first oil drill ever drilled in the United States was in Pennsylvania, which people don't even know. So we've got Texas, we've got South Dakota with the Bakken Shale. We've got, Canada, we don't even have to drill oil. We just have to say we're going to drill the oil. We just have to say that we're going to build a pipeline. And now you get the deal going out in West Virginia when Manchin finally signed on to the bill where the Inflation Reduction Act, which did not, it's an oxymoron.
Of course.
So he sold his soul in order to get that passed and vote for it. And what he said was, as long as you give me the pipeline through my state, because that'll take care of, my state, West Virginia.
Exactly.
And what happened? Oh, Chucky Schumer came off crying about it and saying, I can't give it to you because we're not going to get the other guys to support it. So we're going to have to kind of screw you over on that one, which he did. And so Manchin sells his soul for a big pile of ungats. I mean, this is the way that our nation is run right now. It's an abomination. So the election coming up is, and we hear this constantly, that this is the most important election in our lifetime. Well, it is, until the next one, then the next one is, then the next one is, because we just keep going further and further downhill. $31 trillion in debt. You got to understand, there is no possibility of us digging out of this debt. It's not going to happen. And so what Democrats did was they said, you know what? We know that we're not going to be fiscally responsible. What we're going to do is we're going to hope we can spend our way out of this and into our great green new future. Meanwhile, electric cars are blowing up. It was Don Peebles the other day came out, and I've known Don for years. He's a great guy. Down in Miami, he's done some developing. He does a lot of different things. He is by no stretch of the imagination is Don anywhere near conservative. I mean, the guy's uber Democrat, throws fundraisers for everybody, and he came out and he understands the facts. And the facts are the carbon footprint for building and using a Tesla is larger than the carbon footprint of building and driving for the life of the vehicle of a Suburban or a Cadillac Escalade. And that's just the truth.
No, I know it is. Listen, Biden said it all when he did not give tax credits to Tesla because they weren't union. That told you he's more political than he is about the environment.
Well, look what he came out the other day.
I mean,
I got 2 words for you. He does his fake old man jog.
Love the 2 words.
2 words.
Yes.
Made in America.
Yes, 2 words. Made in America.
2 words. I mean, he literally could not be more. I'm trying to be PC, but just stupid. He's literally stupid. And it's their choice. He's either stupid or senile. Pick one.
Right, exactly.
I don't care which one you pick, but those are the only choices there are.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, this is what's running our country. So these midterms are critically important. Like I said, House it's going to be pretty easy. I mean, we're going to win that one slam dunk. Nancy Pelosi's not going to be Speaker. Which I don't love McCarthy that much either. But whatever.
Well, the thing about the House was just the redistricting in Florida alone is enough to switch the House. Because we basically, by DeSantis making certain districts more Democratic and adding a district, we picked up a seat. We're now going to be able to make some swing states make them Republican. And that alone, just those 3 seats alone, is enough to turn the Congress from Democrat to Republican.
Yeah, but you got enough people out there that are just looking at it and they're going to vote R just because. Most people have no friggin' clue who they're, and I know that's not PC of me. And you know what it is? I've been doing my podcast so much lately that on my podcast I just let it wing. But when I do other things, I forget I'm supposed to be a little bit more PC. So I won't say friggin', but most people have no idea who their congressman is, who their candidates that are running. They go in and they'll either vote D or R based on how their grandfather voted, on whether or not FDR gave their grandmother a loaf of bread, and they vote that way, whether they like the guy's name or not. This election will be, a lot of people will come out that are Democrat or independent, and they're going, I just can't do this. I'm going to vote R, just because we can't have our nation going down this path any longer. And so I think that we're good there, which means we're not going to introduce any legislation. I mean, that has a chance of getting signed. Now, Senate, we've got a couple of races that are looking good. Wisconsin should be pretty good for us. Arizona, Masters, he screwed the pooch. Here's the thing. Abortion is the 3rd rail of politics for Republicans. Stop it. Don't touch it. Stay away from it. You can still be Christian. You can still be pro-life. You can still vote the way that you're going to vote. But you don't need to rub people's faces in your belief, whether it's right or wrong. And the truth is, in politics, and I consult for a lot of candidates.
I know you do.
And I tell everyone the same thing. There's only one way to win in politics. There's no secret to this. There's only one thing in the entire world you can do to win a political race, and that's get more votes than the other guy, real or otherwise, but get more votes than the other guy. And so what you want to do is you want to excite your base your guys and girls, and you want to excite that base as much as you can to get excited and actually come out and vote for you, while at the same time not exciting the other side's base by one more vote than you excited your base.
That's exactly right.
So it's not rocket science.
It's not.
So when you get a fool like Lindsey Graham from South Carolina comes out
that was terrible.
and he says, I mean, Dobbs just gets ruled on, and rightfully so. The abortion issue should have never been decided based on the 14th Amendment. It was.
Right.
That was stupid. Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
She
not
even said
exactly
it.
a
Right.
conservative, said the
Exactly.
exact same thing, leave it to the states.
Leave it
So
to the states, right.
we just get the Supreme Court saying we're going to leave it to the states, and you get a fool like Lindsey Graham to come out and say, you know what, we need to have a federal 15-week ban on abortion. I mean, right before
Not
a
smart
midterm
politics.
election.
Right.
And-
Ridiculous.
And he's been there a long time.
Right.
He can't be that stupid. I mean, can he? And the answer, it's rhetorical because he can't be that stupid.
Right.
So why is he doing that?
Right.
And so when we look at some of the races, Masters didn't help himself against Kelly. But again, Arizona's a swing enough state where we've got a chance, and the polls have it within 3 points, within 6 points, whatever. It's close enough right now. We're 29 days away. Things can happen. And that, in politics, as you know, is an eternity.
Of course. Of
And
course.
so there's still a chance that Masters could pull out a win there. Trump was just there, doing his little spiel.
Okay.
And
Well,
so
let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
What does he have to do to win that state?
shut his mouth.
Okay.
He needs to run on the fact that crime is up. Arizona has major problems with illegal immigration. So run on those things. Run on the fact that the economy is terrible.
Right.
And that Kelly voted for every single one of those issues.
Right. Makes sense.
And that's it. I mean, rather than going off on abortion and bringing up that topic again, which is the only issue that Democrats have to run on.
Exactly.
What are they going to run on? There's nothing. Crime going down didn't happen. Gas prices going down didn't happen. The border being secure didn't happen.
No, they got
Drugs
nothing.
not coming in, not happening.
Right.
So what on earth can they possibly run on?
Exactly.
You know, when someone hands you the winning lottery ticket, don't slap them in the face and throw it in the garbage.
Exactly.
Cash it in.
Exactly.
But
right.
these guys, they're their own worst enemies. Look at Herschel Walker. I mean, this guy.
I was going to say let's switch gears and go to Georgia, and then we'll talk about Pennsylvania.
Well, the thing with Herschel, I mean, look, Raphael Warnock,
Right.
the Reverend.
Right.
And this is, Herschel's getting nailed now for nothing more than hypocrisy.
Of course.
So, which is he's saying he was so pro-life, no one has ever been more pro-life, and then the chick comes out and says, hey, paid for the abortion over here.
Right. Exactly.
Well, you got Raphael Warnock, a reverend. You want to talk about epitomizing hypocrisy? The guy abandoned his children. The guy
ran over his wife's foot.
ran over his wife's foot. That's assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill.
Right.
And he didn't pay child support. And this is a reverend. You've got him nailed. And then Herschel's, and I like the NFL a little bit.
Of course you do, right? You're
I actually just
player.
did
Right.
my sleep study, and so that's over now, and it went amazingly well. So Herschel's son comes out, Christian, and he says, he tweeted something. My father's a scumbag. My father's a really bad guy.
Right.
And I got in touch with these people, and I said, look, here's how Herschel wins. So Herschel, hopefully you look at this thing here.
Right. Exactly.
This is how you win. You don't talk about abortion. Shut up. It's the third rail for Republicans. What you do is you come out with an ad 2 weeks out before the election, and you look at the camera, just you and the camera. Don't try to remember words because you're not that smart. And I mean, seriously, the guy can't put two sentences together. He's worse than Fetterman. Right. And I love Herschel, but he sounds dumb like a bag of hammers. And the thing is, he needs to look at that camera and he needs to say, I am very disappointed in what my son Christian put out and he tweeted. Not because it was wrong, but because it was right. Because everything he said is 100% correct. I was a bad father. I was a bad husband. I was a bad man. I was a good football player, but that doesn't make up for the fact that I let my family down. And I'm going to endeavor for the rest of my life to atone for that, because the only hope and dream that I have right now is for my son a year from now, 10 weeks from now, 2 years, 10 years, whatever it takes. I'm going to work. But my dream is for him to tweet out, once again, that my dad was a flawed man, was a flawed father, a flawed husband. But you know what? He's doing the right thing now, and I'm very proud of him. I'm proud to call him Dad, and I love him with all my heart. If he said that,
Right.
he just
That's
got
amazing.
every single woman's vote that was going to vote against him for the abortion thing. And it's done.
I
If he
agree.
can sincerely
That's very
say that
strong.
and mean
Right.
that, and that's what he should mean, and that's what he should say.
Right.
But the problem that we have is, I don't know who's running these guys' campaigns. So that's going to be a close one. They're pouring a lot of money in right now. Rick Scott, one of our senators, who,
Yep.
you know, with full disclosure, I love Rick. My daughter worked for his office for a while. Great guy, smart guy. He's got his issues as well. But, you know, Marco here against Val Demings, Val should have run somewhere else. She's a very good Democrat candidate. Now, that doesn't mean she's good,
Right, exactly.
but she's a crazy person going after everyone.
Right.
But Marco should win that one pretty much, which leaves us for Pennsylvania. And then in
Right.
Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz, just like I said about Herschel, horrible candidate. The guy's literally, look, Trump backed him and Herschel for one reason. Let's be real about it. Celebrity. Trump likes celebrities.
Right, that's true.
And so he backed him for that reason. Now, you know, maybe Oz stood a chance because he's got, he's left. I mean, first of all, look at his viewpoint on abortion. He's not a right-wing conservative.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination. He's got a lot of faults with regard to, I mean, you want to talk about drugs? The guy was peddling every diet pill that he knew didn't work on the market. So, and I don't want to, you know, look, go vote for him because it's better for our country. But the truth of the matter is, I can prove he's a bad candidate. How the heck is he not 30 points up on a guy who's never had a job, who can't put his two sentences together because he had a stroke? Now, look, you know, I feel bad for the guy.
Right.
I hope he recovers 100%. I don't wish ill upon him. But the truth is, he had a stroke. He's not in any physical condition to be a United States Senator, period.
Right.
He's just not. Now you couple that with the fact of not having a job, lived
Right.
in mommy's basement.
Right.
His first house was given to, sold to him, I should say, by his sister had the house and sold it to him for $1. I mean, this guy, you know, I like the fact that he wears sweatshirts and hoodies, but he's doing it to cover, I don't know what the heck that thing is. It's got its own heartbeat.
He looks like Uncle Fester.
He really does. I call him Uncle Fetterman.
Yeah, I mean,
But any candidate should be 20, 30 points ahead of this guy.
yeah.
And that's how you know Oz is not a good candidate. Now, he's creeping up in the polls, and so hopefully what I told Ed Henry,
Okay.
which was Oz is going to lose and Herschel's going to lose. And I want to be wrong about that. And at that point in time, and if the election was today, they would lose.
Right.
But we're still 29 days away. We are eternity
Right.
away from an election here. So there's a chance.
Let me ask you this question. There's been a lot coming out on the Biden corruption. Tucker Carlson had an hour interview with Tony Bobulinski,
Yep.
who was screwed over by the Bidens.
Yeah.
Always a
And
foolish
he was actually
thing to
brought
do.
in. He's smart, fairly smart guy.
Right.
Good business acumen. Good experience, and he was brought in to be the CEO of their companies.
Right.
He was brought in for the credibility.
Yeah.
And that he's a tough one, but I mean they got Hunter nailed. So here's the thing that's going to happen with Hunter. He's going to get nailed for taxes, and he's going to get nailed for falsification
charge.
on a federal
Right.
federal form. And is he guilty? Well, yeah. Hunter said it in his own words.
Right, of course.
He said it in a book.
Right.
And
Right.
we've got video of him smoking crack all the time.
Right.
I mean, he said on the forum, I'm not a crackhead. And then here he is lighting up crack pipes. So he's nailed on that. But that's going to be it. They're going to cut the deal because they can't go any further. Because Jim, who's an attorney down here, his uncle,
Yep.
Joe's brother, corrupt, and Joe, corrupt. I mean,
Exactly.
we've got Joe on video saying,
Yes.
in Ukraine,
Yes.
the whole deal there.
Ukraine,
whereas, like,
right.
and son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
They fired him.
Exactly
The
right.
prosecutor going after his son in Ukraine.
Right.
When he was talking about Burisma, and that was being investigated.
That's right. And then you got him on a call that was on the computer.
Yep.
admitting that he obviously was involved in these business deals.
Well, that he knew.
He knew.
Which he said he knew nothing about it.
Exactly.
You got photos of him with his business partners.
Yep.
So who are you going to believe? What the Democrats are telling you or your lying eyes?
Exactly right.
But those are the options. There are no other options in this stuff. That's why I say politics is easy. It's always black and white.
Right.
It really is. And so, I mean, the corruption goes so high. So Hunter's got to take the deal.
Well, let's, okay, Garland is now in charge of the Department of Justice. And he's done things like the raid on Trump's house.
Yep.
Going after, with a SWAT team, a minister who pushed somebody who got in his son's face, which to me is absolutely a misuse.
At an abortion clinic. And
Yes.
in all fairness, he was protesting at an abortion clinic like he does many times. And the guy got in his face and then got in his son's face, and there was a little pushing and shoving, and the guy pushed him.
Right.
And the minister did.
Yes, I know.
And so, I mean,
how does that correlate to,
to
to an
come in
FBI
as
search
like,
warrant?
but like a SWAT team coming in,
Exactly.
That's a simple misdemeanor, if
Exactly
anything
right.
else.
That's all
It's
it is.
or a simple assault.
Right.
It's nothing else.
That's
but
right.
they're weaponizing, and by they, and I hate saying this because I wish it wasn't true, but the proof is there. The Democrats right now are weaponizing federal agencies against conservatives, or against, I don't want to say conservatives, against people who disagree with their policy agenda. And that's just the truth. So, and it's so lopsided. And here's the other thing, I don't want to talk about or hear about any more about election fraud.
Right.
With regard to ballots being snuck in at 3 o'clock in the morning, which we have video of.
Right.
Or, the ironic part is, Ted Lieu.
Yes, I know the name. Yep.
Yes, the senator.
Yep.
So, in 2016, Hillary loses.
Right.
Now, Hillary would have never lost if if Bernie Sanders supporters would have come out and voted for her.
Right.
It's the first time in Democrat history where Democrats did not come out en masse and just vote D.
Right.
So they didn't have to worry about cheating or any of that crap. And I'm calling it crap for a reason, because I don't want us to consider that, because there are bigger things that are more dangerous to our nation. But in 2016, Hillary loses. And there's video of her coming out and saying, this election was stolen. When you run a perfect campaign with a perfect candidate,
I remember that.
an election can still be stolen.
Right.
That's 2016.
Right.
Fast forward to 2018.
Right.
Right before the elections, every single Democrat comes out, for the most part, major Democrat, and they say the election machines are fraudulent. The election machines are very vulnerable to kind of fraud and all kinds of different acts of espionage and everything else.
That's right.
They said, and Ted Lieu came right out and said, all the Republicans have to do to beat us is not win every state, just a couple of states, a couple of those swing states. And not only that, all they have to do is win one or two counties in those states. He literally gave the blueprint for what happened, or what potentially could have happened, which we don't want to talk about in 2020.
Right, exactly.
But now, if anyone questions the fact that a senile old sniffer-kid buffoon who's running his campaign from the basement, who cannot fill 6 circles in a gymnasium, when Trump could say he could sneeze the fact that he's going to be somewhere in 10 minutes and 50,000 people show up.
Right.
So if people believe that that's the case, I don't want to argue with them about that. There was election fraud. There was election influence. And it was perpetrated. And not just perpetrated where we think, but proven.
Right.
Where the media and the FBI conspired to rig an election. And how they rigged the election was the FBI would not let out the information about Hunter, would not let out the information about Ashley, Joe's daughter, who said, oh, by the way, I was having lots of sex with everybody, but I think I took inappropriate showers with my dad.
Yeah.
So they didn't let any of that stuff out. And then when it was on Facebook, the FBI went to Zuckerberg.
Yes,
and Mark testified in
He
Congress
Yep,
and said, the FBI told me this was Russian misinformation.
Right.
Now, there's a difference between misinformation and disinformation.
Right.
Misinformation means, hey, Mike, that's a really nice blue suit that you got on there. It's navy blue, I think. Mike was wearing a really nice navy blue suit. No. I made a mistake. I'm a little colorblind. The light is not right. It's really a black suit.
Right.
I gave misinformation, not on purpose.
Right.
I just kind of, got it wrong, but not on purpose. Disinformation, which is what happened in the 2020 election, is knowing what the answer is, knowing that you have a black suit, and I bought the black suit, and I have on the receipt, just bought Mike a black suit, and then I go and tell everyone that your suit is green. That is disinformation. So when you have the FBI paying an informant who they know falsified information, this is all proven already.
Right.
The Steele dossier, and then use the Steele dossier to get a FISA warrant. And we know all this. They've already admitted to it. When you've got people within the FBI who conspired and said, we're going to go after him, and we've got our safety valve, and we've got all this stuff.
Right, exactly.
It's proven that they did that.
Right.
That is affecting an election, influencing an election for your own political agenda. And when 17% of the people that voted for Biden that they interviewed and they polled came out and said, if I had known those things, I would never have voted for him, or I would have voted for Trump. So let's say there's not going to be any swing votes. Let's say no swing votes. What is 17% of a little over 80 million? So we're going to have 13, 14 million people?
Right.
Well, Biden didn't win by 14 million votes.
No. Right.
So guess who would have won the election if the FBI did not do what they admitted to, got caught doing? If they did not do that, if social media did not do the things they did by suppressing information, then Trump, hands down, would have won the 2020 election. Period. End of story. Hard stop. Done. Those are facts. Irrefutable and testified to by people in the FBI, whistleblowers, the very people that did this, Mark Zuckerberg, all of them.
And then add to the fact that the rules were changed because of COVID for the mail-in ballots. And of course, coincidentally, every Civil War veteran, whether it be Confederate or Union soldier that died on the battlefield, mailed in a ballot.
Yeah, and which, again, though, those are lower numbers, but Ted Lieu was right.
Yep.
You don't have to change just a couple of counties in a swing state, and the election's changed. What states won the election for Trump? Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona?
Yep.
Huh.
Those
Go
4.
figure.
Right.
And,
exactly right.
And in those counties, now the weird thing is, and again, not statistically impossible, but statistically improbable, that you would get only top-of-ticket votes. So many. A higher percentage than ever voted undervotes, they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
242,000 mail-in ballots only came in Joe Biden, no down ballot.
Nothing.
That is statistically impossible.
Well, statistically improbable.
Improbable.
It's not impossible, and that's where it's hard to prove.
Right.
But again, we don't have to prove those things.
Right.
We have the FBI admitting that they influenced an election, that they wrongfully influenced an election. That is the truth. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's why it's critical for everyone to get out. Look, and when we do the podcast, The Primal Truth, I tell everyone, I'm going to give you information that you can use. You want to win this election as a Republican. It's piece of cake. Got a call. So what you can do is you literally get your mail-in ballot.
We got to go to a hard commercial break.
Okay.
We'll be back after the commercial. I'll be back with Ed Lynch in 2 minutes.
Text alert! Text alert!
I was receiving letter after letter from the IRS.
I got Mike Vilardi on the phone and I said, Mike, I got a problem.
He took the pressure off my shoulders.
He just made me feel like I had Superman on my side.
Trust me, he's the man to go to.
IRS problems? I'm Mike Vilardi, enrolled agent. I can help. My company, Winning Tax Solutions, has always gotten our clients the best possible results. Visit us at winningtaxsolutions.com or call us today.
I grew up in a home where principles and values were very strong. We had the opportunity to gather 1.5 million people to stand up and be the voice for our children. As an American, I will be your new voice and I will stand up for the integrity of our children. This November 8th, vote for me, Dorcas Hernandez, running for State Representative District 92.
If your family is suffering from inflation and high costs caused by Lois Frankel's reckless policies, Republican Dan Franzese is clearly your best choice for Congress. Dan is a successful businessman who understands finance and economics. He's not a politician. Dan grew up blue collar and knows how tough inflation is on working families. Dan Franzese will go to Washington and fight the liberals who are killing us with inflation. Dan Franzese for Congress.
I'm Dan Franzese and I approve this message.
You've been watching the Political Power Hour with Mike Vilardi. For more information, email us at mikevilardi@gmail.com. That's Vilardi with one L. And now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back. We're back with Ed Lynch, political pundit. Ed, I'll let you finish your thought from where we were before.
I forgot what I was saying.
Let's switch it real quick and let's go to the governor's race here in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about what happened the other day with the Florida Department of Health.
Oh, huge.
Talk about it.
Huge. So the Florida Department of Health on Friday came out with a recommendation, and the recommendation was that men between the ages of 18 and 39 within 28 days of receiving a vaccine have an 84% chance of having a heart issue, a cardiac issue, whether it be myocarditis, arrest.
Chance.
84%.
That's huge.
That is gigantic. So it is the state of Florida's recommendation that men between the ages of 18 and 39 not receive or not get a vaccine or a booster for the mRNA vaccines, because there is a higher chance that they will have heart problems than there is that something negative will happen to them if they catch COVID.
It sounds to me like the vaccine is worse than getting COVID.
Yeah, I mean, look, for a certain age group, and by the way, Ron did a great job with making sure that the elderly, we were the first nursing homes to get fully vaccinated.
Right.
I mean, Ron is killing it. As a governor,
yeah, he's been great.
He is destroying it. I mean, he is doing a bang-up job. And you know me, I like to crack on everyone.
Right.
But the truth is, he's really doing a great job here. We have a $21.8 billion budget surplus.
Right.
He spent more money on mental health than any governor in history, more money for recovering drug addicts than any governor in history. He is literally handling Hurricane Ian, like a champ.
Yep.
And I mean, this guy with the CRT stuff and keeping that out of schools, and the Disney deal where he's saying, look, you know, this is the way that our state wants to be run, and I'm going to run it that way. And he is doing a great job, which is being shown in our numbers.
Exactly.
So you got Ron, who's going to win, hands down. I don't know why anyone would be stupid enough to run against him. I understand Charlie. Charlie is an amazing politician, and I've known him since he was a Republican, an independent, and now a Democrat.
Well, let me just say this. They're also pouring hundreds of millions of dollars, the Democrats, into the state. I think I mentioned to you Operation Red Riding Hood, where they're building townhouses, condos, bringing people in from California, New York, registering them as Republicans to vote Democrat for the sole purpose to turn the state blue.
Well, they're going to try, but here's the truth. People come down here, first of all, it's paradise. That's why I moved here.
Absolutely.
And they're leaving states going, you know what? I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
I don't care what Governor Newsom says. I ain't going to Florida and changing it to be like California. Exactly. I'm leaving California for a reason. So they're just saying that. So it's not as prevalent as you think or as people are saying. They're saying it because this is the first time in Florida's history where we have had a significant number of Republican voters over Democrat voters.
Right.
So we were down like 200 and some odd thousand votes. Now we're up 600,000
Right.
Republican voters over Democrat voters. So
Right.
we're doing a great job with that, and Democrats have to make up a story why it's not looking so good for them.
Well, but I think what Ron was concerned about, and that's why he spent $6 million on election police.
Yeah, and rightfully
is-
so.
Right.
No, look, we shouldn't have all these. I think we can vote like next week here in Florida.
Ridiculous,
We're 29
yes.
days out.
Right,
Seriously, if
exactly.
you don't care that much
Right.
about our country, that you need 29 freaking days to vote,
Right.
you shouldn't vote. You're an oxygen thief, and you really should not be in a position where you're going to make a decision that affects my children, because you're too damn stupid to do it, in my opinion. And so, look, we should have an election day. And if you can't get
Exactly.
there on election
Right.
day, and make it a holiday. Make it
Exactly
a paid
right.
holiday.
Right.
I'm great with that. Make
Right.
it a paid holiday.
do that in
And if you
Washington,
can't
D.C.
get there,
Right.
for whatever reason, you're serving overseas,
Right.
or you're out of state, you're in a hospital, whatever it is, vote by mail then. Fine. But the way that we're trying to like control elections by vote by mail, and if you think that that's not the case, well, again, oxygen thief, too stupid to vote, please
Right.
stay home. I don't want you affecting the future of my children. And so, but Charlie, you never count him out. Look, Charlie wants to win. All he's got to do is convince people that Ron is not running for re-election. That the only reason he's running in this election is so that he has a ramp onto running for president, because Trump is going to get nailed with something and can't do it. And Charlie can, more than anyone, he can point to a time when he was governor of this state and we were actually doing pretty good. I mean, we haven't had a bad run of governors. Even Jeb did a good job. I
Right,
mean,
he
you know,
did.
he's a little sleepy, as
No, he
Trump
did.
would say.
He did a good job.
But
Right, he did.
Jeb did a good job. Then we had Charlie. Then we had Rick. Rick did a bang-up job as
did.
well. And now Ron. So
Right.
Charlie is able to say, you remember when it was good? Now, Charlie's embraced the left positions too much.
Ridiculously.
And again,
Ridiculous.
you know, I don't know who his campaign manager is, but, you know, Charlie, you're being screwed over by this campaign manager. Fire him.
Right.
I mean, you can point to things that you've done.
Right.
It's positive.
Exactly.
Why point to things that, like,
He's
Ron's not even doing
right,
negative?
Right. He's pointing to Biden like he's his buddy, and everything that Biden's doing, he's going to embrace.
Yeah. And
In
guess
Florida.
what? Not working.
No, how
No.
could it work?
No.
Biden, Biden is giving us nothing but high inflation, higher gas prices, more crime, illegals coming over the border. What can you say that Biden has done? Because I can't see anything positive for the American people.
2 words.
that this-
Made in America.
Right, yeah.
Oh, no, you can't say
Right,
that.
that's right.
Yeah, 1 word. Screwed America. I don't know. I mean, we got to do
Right.
Biden math
I-
here.
I mean, this reminds me of Jimmy Carter.
I got to tell you, I mean, Jimmy Carter, God bless him, 98 years old. He's got his little Habitat and Humanity,
Right,
the houses
exactly.
and everything he does, and probably the worst president in history. And Obama did his best to try to come back, but then Obama wanted
Right.
he wanted a legacy and said, no, I'll wait till someone else is in and let them take all the blame
Right.
for all the screw-ups. And enter Joe. And so
Right.
now, you know, he's got the ultimate patsy, and they're trying everything that they can. And Jimmy Carter's just staying alive long enough to go, look, it ain't me that's the worst one.
Exactly right.
Yeah, look at this Biden clown.
This is absolutely wonderful for Jimmy Carter. He can die knowing that he was not the worst president in our lifetime.
And when you look at how we're represented overseas, I mean, do you not look at just Google? Google is your friend in this case. Google Australia news and what they say about the U.S. and what they say about Biden. I mean, you know, and not, I hate to be petty, but we went from Michelle Obama,
right,
not exactly a fashion plate.
right.
I mean, she's big-boned, and she literally, not that, you know, and everyone's like, oh, she's the most beautiful first lady we've ever had. I'm like, I don't know what you're drinking, but, you know, give me some of that. And then we have Melania, for all intents and purposes, a supermodel.
Right.
Gorgeous.
Right, supermodel, right, right.
And she's on Vogue how many times?
Right.
0
Right,
times.
and it's amazing.
And now, I mean, not for nothing,
Right.
but Dr. Jill. First of all, I don't consider you a doctor because you're not really a doctor. I mean, you got a PhD in teaching English. But good Lord, woman, have you seen an ugly sofa or bad set of draperies that you don't want to make a dress out of? I mean, you are representing us in the world, on the world stage, and she's wearing her orange espadrilles with a green and blue flowered dress. I'm like, where, you know, the Democrats say that they're for, like, gays. Where are all my gay friends? Calling her up and giving her some fashion tips. Lord, help this woman. We are a laughingstock in the world. I mean, not just from policy, but from the buffoons that are running our country. It's just insane.
Well, it's embarrassing watching Joe Biden not being able to count to 3.
Oh, my goodness.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, everything.
I mean, he did that once before in 2012. You might remember it, where he said, what America needs is a 3-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S.
J-O-B-S, yeah. No, I mean, same thing. And then we've got Nancy. I don't know. I think she's doing the Tua thing with her hands all the time. And her teeth fell out the other day while she was yelling about something. I mean, these are the people that lead our country? And first of all, they should not be leading our country.
No, they shouldn't be.
They work for us. They're called public servants. We're the public, and they're there to serve us.
That's correct.
And they are serving only their needs. And what they do, and I say this all the time on my podcast, we've got to come together. You know, when 9/11 happened, I remember I was there, and I lived in Jersey, and I remember the day like it was yesterday.
No, me too. I remember.
So crisp and clear and cool, and I've never seen bluer skies, and it was just, and the weeks that came after that, after 9/11, you couldn't buy American flags.
Right, that's right.
And every bridge, every overpass, every tree, every car, every truck had an American flag. And you know what it wasn't?
Packed.
There was not one Democrat flag out there.
Right.
There was not one Republican flag out there.
Right.
They were American flags.
Unity, right.
And we've got to stop with our bickering, our infighting.
Absolutely.
We've got to understand that the left and the right are pitting us against each other, so we will not see that we agree on just about everything. And the truth is, we don't deserve a better country, but I'll be damned if our children don't. And we've got to do everything we can to come together where we can. And the very few issues that we disagree on, very few, and abortion is one of them, but we all agree on that. We all wish that women that don't want to get pregnant wouldn't get pregnant. But other than that, we all agree we don't want to piss away money. We all agree that we want people to come here. We are the shining city on the hill. We want people to come here and get refuge, but do it the right way.
Exactly. But
the legal way.
But the difference is the Democrats want to stay in power.
This is the way they see us staying in power.
That's exactly what they do.
Let's not just blame Democrats. Republicans want to stay in power too. They want to get in power and then they want to stay in power. It's just right now, the Republicans would be doing the right thing. But let me tell you, our debt went up when Republicans were in office just as much as it goes up, not as much as with Biden in office, but it went up just as much as then. So, you know, they both have been doing things to us over all of these years. We need term limits. We're never going to get them.
We do need them.
But we're never going to get them. We're not going to get a constitutional convention because, well, first of all, there'd be too much crap thrown in there. That's like when everyone says, and this is what I want to say about Ron, too. Anyone who wants to be a detractor against Ron because he didn't vote and Marco didn't vote, Marco Rubio, senator here, didn't vote for Hurricane Sandy aid. No, they voted for Hurricane Sandy aid. What they didn't vote for was all of the garbage that Democrats couldn't push, so they attached it to that bill. And so they're like, oh, look at Ron and Marco going out now begging. Well, first of all, Ron's job when he was in the United States Congress and Marco's job as a United States Senator was to make sure that we were fiscally responsible and did the right thing with the money, the purse strings of the United States government, which is the biggest customer of everything in the entire world and spender of money in the entire world. So that was his job. And when they attached all of his pork and garbage to Hurricane Sandy, you know who didn't benefit? The Hurricane Sandy victims. They were getting less money of that pot because they were putting it to crap. But now, fast forward to today, and Ron has a different job. Ron's job is to get as much money as he can for his state to make these people whole. That is his new job, different job. But make no mistake about it, Ron was not voting against aid for Hurricane Sandy. He was voting against the garbage that Democrats put on there in order to sneak their crap in there. All of that, as we call it, pork and all of that. But it was garbage. And he was right for opening people's eyes. What happened? It passed anyway. We knew it was going to pass. But Ron felt and Marco felt that it was more important to let people know what's really going on. Let me show you how the sausage is made. And quite frankly, we may not want the world to know how the sausage is made here in the U.S. So I get a little concerned when we talk about the FBI and exposing everything, because part of me wants to nail them. Get them all nailed.
Yeah.
IRS, Lois Lerner, they sent IRS
Yes,
agents
they did.
after
Yeah.
Republicans. Look
That
what just
was
happened with PayPal.
Right.
PayPal came out and they put a new policy in last week, effective November 3rd. If they don't agree with stuff that you put on your posts, on your social media, they will automatically withdraw a $2,500 fine out of your PayPal account. And when that became known, because you know what everyone does, they new terms of PayPal. Yeah, click agree or you can't use it. No one reads that crap. I mean, it's freaking 8 million lines
exactly,
long
right.
because attorneys did it so that attorneys can understand
Right,
it, because
exactly.
attorneys are all scumbags. So the truth of the matter is, PayPal thought they could sneak it through. Well, people found out. So since that happened last week, you know what else happened? PayPal came out and said, oh crap, my stock just went down.
Right.
I'm going down 5 points, 10 points, 15 points. We're losing money hand over fist. People are withdrawing their money out of our account.
Right.
We are losing everything that we've got. Okay, just kidding.
Right, rescind it, right.
We didn't mean it.
Right.
And now it's not in there. But that's the power that we have. Make no mistake about it. We have the ability to do that. And if people don't understand that those 87,000 IRS agents, and you know,
Yeah,
they are going after people.
Of course.
And not people making over $400,000 a year.
Exactly.
You know what? We only have 670 billionaires in this country.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, how many agents are going to go on each billionaire? They
Exactly.
need something else to do. And
Yeah.
guess what? They're going to go after everyone.
That's exactly
So,
what they're going to target.
You know, we've
Target
got to be very
industries,
careful what's going on. We've got to get out and understand the truth. We've got to understand that Democrats and Republicans do not have the interests of the American people at heart.
Right.
Republicans right now would not be for what we want, for the things that we want, if they couldn't get elected off of it. So in other words, if they weren't for lower taxes, if they weren't for lower gas prices, if they weren't for border security, if they weren't for lower crime, if they weren't for all of these things, then we would not vote for them.
Right.
So what are they doing? They're coming out and they're telling us and feeding us whatever it is they think we want. Now, thank goodness, and I thank the Lord for this, because
Amen.
we are needing certain things to fix our country, and Republicans are in a position to give it to us if we get them elected. But make no mistake about it. A couple of terms of them being elected, and they're going to seek the money and seek the power the same as the Democrats do. Now, we may think, and this is the problem, we may think that it's to our advantage because it's our guys. But
Right.
let me tell you, it doesn't matter, again, which side of the aisle we're being screwed from. And they don't care which side of the aisle they are screwing us from.
Right.
It is us against them always. There's a little over 535 people, maybe 600 people in the United States government
Right.
in D.C. that control every aspect of our lives or want to control every aspect of our lives. And it is up to us to stand up and take our country back. It is up to us, the American voter. And I'll be quick with this one, but I used to do security for rock concerts when I was a real big guy. And so 150 of us will go to Giant Stadium, and I bring all the guys in from my company, and we would stand there all big and everything, and we were big, and I was pretty, and I had long, luxurious hair. And so it was a good time. But I knew the secret. The secret was that at any moment, those 65,000 people in Giant
Right.
Stadium could bum rush the stage, overpower the 150 of us. Yeah, maybe we'd each get 4 or 5 or 10 of them.
Right.
Maybe we'd each get 100 of them. That's 15,000. That leaves 50,000 people to go and do whatever they wanted to the rock stars. Take whatever they wanted from those stages and backstage and whatever else they wanted. That epitomizes what we have in America. Because at any
Right.
given moment, in any election cycle, we, the American people, can stand up and take back what is rightfully ours. And those 535, those 600 people, they can't do squat about it. And that's the truth. They just don't want us to know that.
Well, that's what this election's going to come down to, isn't
That's
it?
what every election comes down to.
does.
And so this is so critically important for us to get out there and
Right.
vote.
And what do you think? How do you think the Senate is going to go? You think it'll break Republican?
Yeah, we should. The way things are leaning right now, and I know Ed Henry's going to call me, tomorrow and call me a cop-out for this one, because I said, here's who's going to lose. But
Right.
that was based on then. And weeks are eternity in politics.
Right, long time.
And so the way that it looks like it's going now, absent any more October surprises, we're going to be ahead, and we, meaning Republicans, will be ahead probably by 2 seats in the Senate. And that'll be enough where at least we'll be at a stalemate. But again, Executive Order 1467, which Biden signed in March, on March 9th, about getting rid of our fiat currency and going to cryptocurrency,
Oh, wow.
that'll be governed by the United States government and controlled by the Fed. He will try to basically run the country via fiat, via executive order. And so we're going to be fighting, but the only good thing that comes out of all of this, hopefully we get guys like Jim Jordan, who is actually a really good guy,
Yep.
and a couple other guys in there that are going to do these investigations, and not the bullcrap investigations like we have out now. Look, we all know what the deal is.
Right.
Get it done. If you think it took
Right.
4 years to nail Hunter Biden and think that we have
Right.
enough to prosecute him now
Right.
on a signature or a check mark on a form, I mean, that's literally like, investigation 101. If you think that it took 4 years to get IRS agents, and you were
Right.
one, how long would it take you to go, okay, he's got foreign accounts here, he didn't claim
Right.
this income? I mean, look what happened to Manafort.
Right.
4 years in prison, $24.8 million in restitution, and then a fine of $50,000. And here we are talking, you don't think Hunter Biden's got those foreign accounts like Manafort does?
Of course.
I mean, Hunter Biden came in, and the only thing that slowed down the investigation was Hunter Biden came into the IRS and paid him $2.8 million. Now, you're a former IRS agent. If you're paying the IRS $2.8 million, how much money does that mean you made? $8 million? I mean, if
least.
you're talking in tax brackets and
Right,
everything?
at least,
So
right.
at least $8 million he made.
Right, closer to 10, right?
So he's at $8 million that he made, yet he only claims of the $6 million that was given to the company, he only got $1 million for legal services because he's such a friggin' rocket scientist? I don't think so. So if people think that it took 4 years to be able to say, we now have enough information to
Right.
prosecute him, you're out of your freaking mind. They've been trying to cut deals the whole time, and there's way more there. And I think it might be time, just like Herschel Walker has to come out and say, my bad.
Right.
It's time for the United States to come out to the rest of the world and go, my bad, but we're cleaning it up.
Now, do you think Joe Biden will survive a congressional inquiry where they're probably going to impeach him? It'll go to the Senate. The evidence is clearly there. Clearly there.
Yeah.
Anybody who's neutral-minded, an honest broker, so to speak, would have to convict this guy.
Yeah, they're not going to have enough time. Literally not enough time. I mean, if you think about it, between January when they get in, then they're going to start the hearings. The hearings are going to
Right.
drag out forever because they're going to do their pomp and circumstance and all of their crap that they
Right.
do. So that's going to go on forever. And before you know it, we're into a presidential election. So you got 60 days, which is the general rule of thumb. It's not a law. But within 60 days of an election, they're not going to prosecute anyone. That's usually the rule of thumb that they use, which is why they're talking about Hunter and not prosecuting him now and waiting until after the election.
Okay.
So we're 29 days away from that. So when you take January from 2023 to, now August of 2024, and then you got the primary, so now we're in, maybe June of 2024, you don't have a lot of time. You got less than a year. And now they're going to cry that it's just sour grapes because they impeached Trump, which, by the way, it's an abomination that we don't sit there and say we should overturn the first
Right.
impeachment, bare minimum, the second one as well. But the proof is there
Right.
to say
yeah, of course.
Trump should have never been
Ridiculous.
impeached.
Either way. I
You're
mean, that
fruit
was
of a
ridiculous.
bad tree.
Right, exactly.
Or poisonous tree.
Poisonous tree, right.
Yeah,
Fruit,
exactly.
Of course.
And so,
And it was obvious there was no evidence. They knew that going in.
no, they knew.
I knew.
They knew. They were paying the guy. They told him I
Right.
got the false information, and then the FBI used that false information to get a FISA warrant, and then they made everything up with this Steele dossier. It's all made up. They had nothing. They admitted they had nothing. So it's an abomination. But will they try to impeach? They're going to have to feed the raw meat to the right. And then the left's going to say it's nothing more than sour grapes. And so, it's always the first guy that gets the biggest bang for the buck. So impeaching Trump was the way to go. And by the way, impeaching Trump was as much about the impeachment of Bill Clinton as it was about impeaching Trump. And by the way, Merrick Garland, if you don't understand, and I know you do, but if the people in this country don't understand that the only reason, or 99.9% of the reason that he's so voracious with regard to going after Trump is the fact that he is butthurt because Mitch McConnell and Republicans kept him from the dream job of any justice to be a Supreme Court justice. That's the truth of the matter.
Yes.
And it's human nature 101.
Yeah, but thank God they did, because he would have been a terrible justice.
Look, Katani Jackson is not much better right now.
Yeah, well,
she just came out firing about all of the injustices and reparations and everything else and peppering all of that stuff in there. There should not be left-leaning judges. There should not be right-leaning judges. There should be judges that are basing their decisions on the Constitution of the United States.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But the left never puts a justice that does that on the court, at least not in the last 40
No,
years.
it's all about an agenda.
It's
And the
all about
right
an
doesn't
agenda.
either. I mean, let's be fair.
Right.
I mean,
But-
we had Antonin Scalia,
Yeah, Scalia.
which, by the way, I don't know how he died. We never even freaking,
well, that
the
was-
pillow in the middle of the night.
Right, exactly.
Maybe he got a COVID freaking vaccine, and he had myocarditis. I mean, who the heck knows?
Wow.
Look at the football players dropping down now. It's crazy.
There's video of all these people just dropping. I mean, it's
Yeah.
horrific.
No.
I mean, this vaccine is worse than getting the disease.
Well, I had COVID twice. I didn't even know I
Yeah.
had it the second time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I tell people, if you're old and you just have to weigh the odds. If it's worse for you, or the chances are worse that you would be worse off if you got the disease than the vaccine,
Right.
then get the vaccine.
Exactly.
I'm not anti-vax. I'm just
Right.
anti-vax for me, my children, my family, you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's how could people get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out to you?
I'm on Facebook. My telephone number's on Facebook. It cracks me up how many people won't
Right.
call it.
Okay.
And it'd be like, I should have called it. I saw it there. I'm like, you could call it. You
Right.
literally could call it, because if I don't recognize the number, I'm not taking it anyway.
Right.
So, leave a message.
Right.
You could go on my Facebook. It's just Edward Lynch. We do the podcast now. Aaron and I have been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
Aaron
tell us
just-
about the podcast for a couple minutes.
It's called The Primal Truth. We started it right during COVID, and it's not a left-leaning podcast, obviously, but it's
Right.
also not a right-leaning podcast.
Right.
I will come down on Joe, but I just came down on Trump. I mean,
Right.
in the last podcast, because, if I don't like something he's doing, it has nothing to do with whether someone is a Republican or Democrat to me.
Right.
It has to do with whether or not the policy that they're putting forth and they want to pass, if it will impact my children positively or negatively. That's how I make the determination on everything. It's not what I want. And then the thing is, am I against gay people? No. But you know what? I love the gay people. If they don't hit on me, I get mad. But the thing is, I want to be pretty. But the thing is, we've got to understand that I don't want someone else teaching my kids about their sexuality.
Of course.
Or their pronouns, whatever the hell that is. Dude, that's the funkiest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's just completely wrong. And so, but if it's you and it's your children, I'm not going to interfere in them. Because believe me, no one on the left would abide for a moment to let me go in their house and teach their kids anything.
Right.
So just as much as you don't want that, I don't want this. So, but anyway, we came out with the Primal Truth because we just want to tell people the truth. I mentioned you on there with
Yes,
the IRS,
you did.
so
Yes, you
important.
did.
We have Bill Lewis who does the credit stuff.
Yep.
Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about Nuvana. I just finished the sleep study I did. Unbelievable product
Excellent.
that I used myself, and my sleep went from 3.5 hours a night to about 7 hours a night.
Wow.
Which is amazing to me. I wake up like I'm on Red Bull every day now,
Wow.
as you can tell.
No, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, we got a minute left in the show. It's always great having you on.
Oh, I always appreciate
know.
well, because you let me just bloviate about whatever.
Right, exactly. I do. So, in your final thoughts for the 2022 election, what are they?
Well, we're going to win the House. We're going to win the Senate, I believe, by now 2
Okay.
seats. So, Ed Henry, I'm not going back on what I'm saying. Just things have changed.
Right.
And we're going to be at a little bit of a stalemate. We're going to open some investigations, which we need to. But here's the thing. If you're a Republican, don't forecast how many votes they need in order to cheat. If they wanted to cheat, go out. If you choose to,
Yeah.
go out and get your absentee ballot. And then on election day, go and hand it into your election supervisor's office. And then when they start opening them on election night at 7 o'clock, because they have to wait till the polls close to start opening, when they start opening, they're going to be surprised by how many votes are on that side now. Because like I said, I don't like either side. But right now, we got to like the side that's going to help our children's future.
No, we do. And I want to thank you again for being on the show.
Oh, dude, always my pleasure.
It's always a great having you. And I want to thank you for watching us tonight. And next time, please, we want to start having some call-ins. So we'd like people to call in the show. So when I have people like Ed here, you could take advantage of his expertise. So thank you for watching tonight. I'm Mike Vilardi. Till next week, this is the Political Power Hour. Thank you.
Text alert! Text alert!
I was receiving letter after letter from the IRS.
I got Mike Vilardi on the phone and I said, Mike, I got a problem.
He took the pressure off my shoulders.
He just made me feel like I had Superman on my side.
Trust me, he's the man to go to.
IRS problems? I'm Mike Vilardi, enrolled agent. I can help. My company, Winning Tax Solutions, has always gotten our clients the best possible results. Visit us at winningtaxsolutions.com or call us today.
I grew up in a home where principles and values were very strong. We had the opportunity to gather 1.5 million people to stand up and be the voice for our children. As an American, I will be your new voice and I will stand up for the integrity of our children. This November 8th, vote for me, Dorcas Hernandez, running for State Representative District 92.
If your family is suffering from inflation and high costs caused by Lois Frankel's reckless policies, Republican Dan Franzese is clearly your best choice for Congress. Dan is a successful businessman who understands finance and economics. He's not a politician. Dan grew up blue collar and knows how tough inflation is on working families. Dan Franzese will go to Washington and fight the liberals who are killing us with inflation. Dan Franzese for Congress.
I'm Dan Franzese, and I approve this message.